One. Welcome everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. I hope everybody's having a great day. This is episode 47. This is, of course, September 23rd. It's a fine day. I hope everybody's having a great one ourselves. It seems like there's screwy weather wherever we're at, but that's besides the point. Anyway, so we have a cool list of topics to discuss today with everyone. We, of course, are going to talk a little bit about the D&D Tomb of Annihilation, because that came out, finally. So we get to know a little bit more about it, though we did know a bunch. I do want to talk about the 20th anniversary of Changeling, which is coming out. Changeling the Dreaming. So that'll be an interesting one to discuss. Star Trek Adventures has now released their new Adventure Pack 1, known as These Are the Voyages, basically Volume 1, a collection of 8 ready-to-play missions. That's an interesting one to discuss. I want to get to the Munchkin Lite game, because we have some things to say about that. And then finally, Whitehall Mysteries. I didn't have a chance to discuss it last week. So this week I'm finally going to, continue to put in my 2 cents about it, because I have always a lot of things to say about this. We'll leave it at that for now. But, so I do want to mention that those of you that are big fans of Magic that like to watch us, we aren't going to be discussing a lot of it because we were discussing it, the Ixalan release over the past couple of weeks, and this is the pre-release weekend, so hopefully, rather than worrying about theorizing or anything this week, we're going to talk more about things next week once we all know how the set itself is going to shape up. We should see some things about combos and deck building then, and things that, we can grab some folks to talk about that then. So, alright, why don't we dive in, of course, to the Tomb of Annihilation, which is out. So this is the new big adventure. I'm not exactly sure what level you're supposed to get to in the Tomb of Annihilation, but I know it's effectively you're traveling to Chult, because there's a necromantic artifact called the Soulmonger, which kind of prevents people from being raised, but it also kind of kills them, so they weaken until they die, and then you can't bring them back, which is kind of I guess the divine miracle of being brought back, or because it is divine magic, is something that isn't for everyone, but there are people that take advantage of it. So a change in that is definitely something that I can see being a good call to action for players. And Chult is dinosaurs and pirates, because Wizards of the Coast does dinosaurs and pirates for everything.
Lately, they kind of have been, haven't they?
They choose a topic, and they seem to go at it with everything that they do.
Yeah.
Hey, what's wrong with dinosaurs and pirates?
Oh, nothing. It's
Nothing
just
really. It's just
you do that already.
I mean, I guess consistency is good.
Dino pirates.
I mean, they are keeping things consistent.
Yeah. So I guess that's the only thing I can say is really good about it, is they are being consistent.
I want to do this and just keep making bards so I can tell someone to hide behind a pile of dead bards.
I mean, you want to do that anyway.
Come on, it's the only game you can really do that in.
Well,
it's just like, oh, no one's coming back.
We did have the option in that Pathfinder game we were in, because there was because the guy kept trying to clone himself, so there was a pile of dead clones.
Yes.
It was kind of
hilarious.
Okay.
Yes, we did find, 200 dead bodies of himself?
Yeah.
We were going to make a house out of him.
You know what this plotline kind of reminds me of? That one plot in Skyrim that where it's the Staff of Valmina or something like that, or the dreaming one where people can't sleep.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's just what that reminds me of, because it's oh yeah, people are wasting away, but there's this object which is causing it that is you have to find.
Well, I made the joke, instead of the House of 1,000 corpses, it's the Guest House of 200 corpses.
I'm just gonna leave it at that sigh. A long, sigh, just
Oh, 201 corpses. We have a chimney now.
Ugh. Ooh, you needed a chimney of corpses? Thank you, great. But, so, I mean, it is definitely interesting that, you have this entire, a good situation.
Hey, if you raise the dead on that House of Corpses, you can have a mobile home.
Wow. I mean, I guess I'd rather, like, animate them as one big pile of zombies or something, you know? So they can sort of then move about and, like, drag you around, so you're like, okay, zombie house, let's go that way.
Oh, sorry, I just got that joke, I had to get it out of the way.
It's good, but
that's not a bad trap, though. Think about it. You plaster the outside to make it look like a real house. The adventurers go in to explore it, and all of a sudden they're getting bitten from every direction.
You know, in one of my personal games, the GM isn't going to be there, and I offered to run a one-shot. I think I have my idea.
You're welcome.
The House of Corpses that animates and kills people. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be like a large house. It's just like just enough to lure people in. So, yeah. This is an interesting one, because I guess it's been a lot of hype up for it, too. And, again, because in and of itself being, like, a storyline of, death and curses, it would be cool enough, you know, that you're going into this place to get this artifact in some kind of mysterious ruins. But, like, we're throwing it into Chult, which we haven't seen in
a while.
Yeah. And
yeah,
and it's got, and Chult is the mysterious land of dinosaurs.
And jungles.
Yeah. Can you guys hear that in the background, Tim? Because I can ask him to, like...
A little bit.
Okay, so it's not too bad?
No.
Okay. He's hanging out nearby, talking on the phone. It's fine. Anyway.
Is that a Forgotten Realms thing?
It is a Forgotten Realms thing. It's
okay,
like...
because I know they've been focusing on the Forgotten Realms, so I don't know. It's just kind of interesting because I do kind of like the Forgotten Realms, but I don't think I've heard of that before. So
you forgot the Forgotten Realms?
Chult is a place I haven't heard about a lot. Like I've had games where we've gone to Chult just because we've gone to a lot of places in Forgotten Realms, you know, in Faerun and the like, and it's technically not Faerun, I think, because it's like it's supposed to be like the jungles of North Africa kind of thing, because the world of Forgotten Realms is an amalgam of our world kind of thing. So
I think like I think like in the lore they split off from each other at some point.
Yeah,
like a mirror copy.
Yeah, it's like the map's similar enough that you kind of get a lot of strange areas the same, you know. So,
yeah. Basically, the Sword Coast is Europe.
Yep. So, but Chult is a very interesting place, and they also, just the sheer fact that, you know, it's dinosaurs, and it's known for the piracy off the coast. But I feel like maybe they even just threw it into Chult just for the reason of they were planning something with pirates and dinosaurs. Maybe that's why they did it. Just to standardize everything.
Could be. And you have undead, which they're focusing also on vampires and magic too.
This kind of soul-stealing artifact does kind of make you think. They may be going kind of the witch doctor route, kind of almost, you know, kind of taking the Africa feel.
I can see that. Yeah. They're sticking a lot with the themes of it, though it's kind of hard to tell because, again, we only have some. Oh, okay. Here, I totally have been missing this since in front of my face. It's from 1 to 11th level. Okay, in front of my face. I should be able to see this.
Yeah, that's a pretty big adventure.
Yeah. I mean, like, Curse of Strahd was similar. So, and I know how big that one was. So, I'm glad that they are doing these, like, these ones that are very large, but they don't need a large book to do them.
Yeah.
Get on with this cake.
But
I told the witch doctor I wanted your soul.
Your soul!
And he said, ooh-ee, ooh-ah-ah.
Ting-tang, walla walla bing bang?
Ooh-ee, ooh-ah-ah, ting-tang, walla walla bing bang.
Indeed. But okay, now that just you're just blowing my mind, man. You're just crushing my mind.
Mind crusher.
I know, indeed. But I was gonna say something, and then the witch doctor song happened.
And then now let's bring up wolf balls. Then.
I know. But it's exciting that it's finally out here, because I think that like the Storm King's Thunder seemed always interesting, but I didn't feel like I was as interested in that as I was in Curse of Strahd, and this one seems big enough for me to draw me in. Like Storm King's Thunder, it does feel a lot like a classic D&D adventure. You're fighting against powerful giants and things like that. But in the same retrospect, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like you brought up the Storm King's Thunder because it's like yeah, I mean that one actually disappointed me a little bit. I'll be honest, because it built this like it almost kind of presented this big open world, but then when like you almost as a GM had to like build most of it yourself still because they didn't like because it's like they provide like a one paragraph synopsis, but there's this whole part about being able to wander around in that once you hit like I think it's like the chapter 4 or whatever, it's like you're supposed to like move around or whatever in the book, but it's like so
but
I
we
always
didn't give you the locations that are available, so have fun and make them up.
We give you some basics.
So that disappointed me with that one, but the reason I bring it up is it's like, well, if they, I hope they don't make it as much like that.
Well, I think the only advantage with Chult is it's mostly like jungle. So
that's true.
If you give you like a couple of like one paragraph suggestions for things they could encounter in the jungle, it's up to you. Yes, it might be up to you to build them, but I feel like that's a little bit better than I'm in an area where normal people populate, because Storm King's Thunder takes place in just your normal Faerun, so you can easily have like village over here or city over here, where unfortunately, granted, those require more work to build them than
is like when you're in a jungle, you could either have straight jungle or maybe like a small tribal camp or something, but you don't have to build out an entire city's worth of stuff.
So it does distinctly have an advantage in that case, I guess.
That's true.
But again, it's also like
that's why I almost like Curse of Strahd a whole lot better, because it was a much smaller area and it just gave you all the information you needed for every area, with maybe a couple areas which had a little bit less information, but it wasn't too hard to build off.
No, that's true. Yeah, I think Curse of Strahd was done very well, and again, I haven't run through Storm King's Thunder to be perfect on it. I've only read through part of the book anyway. But no, it seems like we are at a level of agreement that Storm King's Thunder had some problems that maybe hopefully they kind of pull back towards what they had in Curse of Strahd for this one. It looks interesting enough to make me want to feel like maybe I could try that or something, but that's the best thing I can say about it right now.
No, it does look like it looks pretty solid, the plot line is there.
I'm only hoping that they live up to the reputation of the last infamous tomb adventure, which I'm forgetting because my mind is just going blank today like 7 times over. We've talked about it before. Joe, please help me. You may remember.
I can't think of it either. The only thing I have in my head is Tomb of Annihilation right now. And
Tomb of Annihilation is this one. Yes.
Yeah, is this one.
Tomb of Horrors?
Tomb of Horrors, yes.
Tomb of Horrors, yes.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Oh my
thank
God.
You, Wyrm. We bow down to your brain.
My brain it's blanking out today. I've got too many distractions already. I blame Scott for playing Don't Starve like right before I would stream. It's like, come on, I love that game. You're not gonna distract me? God damn it.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
But no, but yeah, I would like maybe some hints to Tomb of Horrors, since they did come out with a 5th edition version of that. And, it has a name that invokes some of the same feeling, I think. Horror, annihilation. They are still different words, but it kind of makes you feel like... when I hear it, I think of the Tomb of Horrors, So I'm hoping that at least we do get something that hints to that, even if it's just like deadly traps or something that they'll have to deal with at higher levels, That's all I would like hope for in some of like the ruins and things. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I guess
I'd be mildly disappointed if there's not a sphere of annihilation somewhere in this book.
Very true. Very true.
How about a sentient sphere of annihilation?
Oh gosh, no.
No umbral blot. Thank you. We hadn't seen them since 3rd edition, and it's probably better that way. Which I was so glad to find out that they were originated in earlier edition than that. I'm like, great, you know, what was we need? Umbral blot. Ugh.
Everyone loves a good umbral blot.
Indeed. But Tomb of Annihilation is out now. You can get the book, you can get the PDF, you can check it out. I would definitely recommend taking a look at least, because it does look like a much more interesting adventures than the last one to a good degree. I'm excited for it.
Yes.
Yep.
Indeed.
Well, why don't we'll move on though, because we have a couple more topics to handle. Why don't we go to Changeling to Dreaming? So, Onyx Path, who's been technically publishing stuff for the new White Wolf, has been putting out 20th anniversaries of a lot of games. And the thing is, like, it may sound, you know, like, oh, it's the 20th anniversary of Changeling to Dreaming, but you have to consider that Vampire, Mage, Werewolf, who've all had their 20th anniversaries, came out before this by a good chunk, you know. They had to get those established, and then they started moving into, like, their other things. So, this is their modern version of Changeling that they've come back. And, again, now, pardon me if I'm going to be bad at this, but hopefully Wyrm can correct me a little bit. So, it's a revised version of it with revised rules, new information, and effectively Changeling, from what we've sort of discussed, it's you have your role in the real world, and then, like, a portion of you that exists in the spirit world is different, which is unique for Changelings, because things that exist in the spirit world in most White Wolf games either are themselves, for like a mage, or travel there as themselves as a werewolf, you know. Werewolves physically travel there. Mages have their astral form. Changelings sort of have their own being, their own spirit being, which is there, from what I know, right?
Yeah, it's not like a spirit world, by the way. It's actually like a dream world, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I think technically speaking, like, it is the same spirit world.
Oh, it uses the spirit world mechanics.
Yes, but I think like there's a section of it called the dreaming realm or something, you know, where the changelings come from, which other beings don't like moving into, because like because as I've been studying werewolves some more, you know, for some videos I've been doing, like the normal werewolf is, they're like, we're going into the place that's really close to us, and then mages go into like weird deep astral layers of their astral form, and then like other things go here and there, generally speaking connected, generally speaking.
So I'm not sure if this existed in the older in the original versions, but I know now how they do it is there's like almost 2 layers. There's the what is it called? Dang it. I think it's what's that called? The ephemeral. I want to say Twilight, but that's not right. I don't think.
Yeah.
But there's like this one layer which is like exists on top of our world, and then there's the extra worlds which extend from it and which are different, and all the spirit beings kind of exist in like that layer when they come to our world, but they have different worlds in and of themselves. I'm not entirely sure though how it works. Maybe they kind of merged that a little bit back in the original version, or they've changed it since the original version. So maybe it was kind of all one world that had different parts to it, one spirit world.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not an expert on the dreaming. I have a lot of experience with the Lost, but not the dreaming. So. Yeah.
And I know there is definitely some connections between the two of them. I think there definitely is some intrinsic difference. Like, I know, just quickly, like, trying to like remember some things here and looking at it, that you basically have a kith, which is kind of like your species, and they deal a lot with the concepts of the Seelie and Unseelie court, which is kind of more traditional, like, fairy courts, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that's
they still have. Yeah, courts are a thing. It's sorry, continue.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, courts have always been a thing, even in the current versions. They're basically like They're basically just like changeling societies, and they kind of just function and make deals and stuff through them.
I find the Kith groups interesting because it's like some of them I like recognize as very traditional Fey kind of creatures like Boggans, Redcaps, Satyrs, Trolls. Others I'm not so familiar with, at least when it comes to the Dreaming. And I like the way that they're thinking about it because it's rather than the traditional sort of changeling Fey, which is a Fey child substitute for human baby, they're being like, this is a Fey soul is born in a human body, basically.
Okay, yeah.
That you can awaken to your fairy powers. You know,
no baby switching.
No baby switching. It's less creepy.
There's baby switching in the lot and changing the Lost. Don't worry.
Okay, see? It's one of those things. There's still baby switching somewhere.
Although technically those are not changelings, those are fetches.
But what did they do with the original baby?
Oh,
so in Changing the Lost, they replaced the baby with what's actually called a fetch, and the changeling is taken away to Arcadia. In this version, in the Dreaming, from what I've read, the Arcadia is like closed, and it's like this paradise that people can't reach, or something. But in this version, it's Arcadia is the land where fairies and fae come from. But fae will come and steal a baby back to Arcadia. And when a changeling escapes from Arcadia, that's how they kind of make it, and that's where they have their magical powers and stuff from, is because they were taken to the land of magic.
Oh, okay, so I see. It's really like a switching. It's a reversing of it. It's like one of them is the fae born in our world trying to like gain the access to Arcadia, and on the other side, it's that they have been in Arcadia and now kind of wish to go to the mortal realm. And so that's actually an interesting juxtaposition. It's sort of like that's actually one of the juxtapositions I actually like about the revised World of Darkness. You know, what are they calling it now? They're calling it Chronicles of Darkness.
Yeah.
The thing is about some of the Chronicles of Darkness, I just did not like the way they did things in some of the updated versions. This one, I don't think I would mind trying either both of them because these both seem very interesting dynamics to each other. You know, for the idea of the character rather. So, I mean, I guess they have to get it right one of the times. And I mean, people do like some of the other Chronicles of Darkness, and I understand why, so I can't argue against that. Just personally, like...
Well, we're doing this. We're doing Chronicles of Darkness, changing the 2nd edition. Even though it's not technically out, we're using a lot of the released rules that they've released for playtesting, and we'll update slightly when the game officially comes out, but...
Yeah.
That's what we're doing on my channel later today.
Ooh, cool.
Yes. Definitely cool. Yeah, I definitely. I guess this is definitely an interesting one for checking out. I definitely would recommend checking both of these out. Then check out the Dreaming. The 20th anniversary is out, and the Lost definitely seems like something that I would like to try sometimes too. But again, I would love to try some other World of Darkness games, but most of the time I'm running all this stuff, so.
Yeah, you're pretty much the only one who's normally willing to run it, other than Mage, which then Chad will run sometimes.
I'll have to run something then, because I can do Changeling and Werewolf pretty good.
Well, I was thinking I have a werewolf idea, and then maybe for like some folks I could like try to figure out a time for doing some werewolf or something, because Ollie's been interested in that. So, but that's
and so is Delric.
But I have to find a great time if I was going to grab both of them. That's kind of hard.
That's true.
Great. So, all right. Let's see here. So yeah, Changeling, the 20th anniversary is out now. So, I mean, if you were a fan of Changeling or Dreaming before, or were interested in checking out the World of Darkness version of it, this is just an update of things. And I think that's one of the advantages of these things is like, they are just pretty much taking the old rules and updating them very nicely. So I would definitely recommend checking them out, especially this one, because again, I'm interested in trying it out because I have heard some interesting things. Like I saw some people roleplay it a little bit one time, and it sounded so cool. Like it's so very different than the other White Wolves, but it was sort of like I just didn't have a chance to. All right. Why don't we move on, though, and let's start talking a little bit unless you have something else you want to say?
No.
Okay. So, I want to talk about the Star Trek Adventures has come out with their first adventure pack. These are the Voyages, Volume 1. So this is 8 adventure, sort of miniature adventures. Sorry, I'm trying to do something here. Alright, there we go. Warning.
Yeah,
and ban.
so...
Sorry, had to ban someone from chat that was being rude, and I warned them.
Yep.
Okay, so it's 8 mini adventures. I think it's specifically for operations.
Okay, so is this specific for operations?
Yeah, it says the front line of Starfleet operations.
Okay. And it's I don't know if we discussed it that it's a 2D20 system, but they do kind of list all the different ones. It's uncover the truth about an anomalous wormhole that's trapped an older starship vessel. Sounds traditional. Weighing up the dilemma of the Prime Directive with an intelligent species that originates outside the confinements of normal space-time, subjugated by another civilization. All right. Rescue Federation science vessel dripping rigorously inside Romulan neutral zone, avoiding escalation to war. Investigate strange events on some planet where a colony is rapidly disintegrating around its foundations. Explore strange alien space station containing a massive forest ecosystem of its own. Foil the presence of to spread a long-dead plague and on the truth of its origins. Stop a thief from experimenting, a theft of an experimental torpedo, and pursue its thief to expose its plot. And respond to a stress signal on a mining colony in revolt and discover new life in the mines. Huh. These are very interesting adventures, too, because, I mean, like, all of them sound like very classic Star Trek adventures, but they are...
They really do.
But it's like they're a little bit generalized, too, which might be a good thing, you know?
Well, right, because that leaves an opening for character and GM to actually create the way they want to do things. Yeah. You can't have it so strict that it's just like, okay, we're playing this pre-written, story we're just taking place in. You have to have some creativity.
I also think it keeps it from feeling like it feels like an episode, but it's not like an actual one too. Then you don't want it to feel so close that you're like, well, I'm just redoing that,
The alien space station containing a forest ecosystem kind of sounds like something that I almost want to try. So that sounds like kind of fun to play.
Well, yeah. This has also been
that one stands out to me specifically.
Yes. The entire system has seemed very interesting to try out. That's the thing.
Yeah, this is the new one, right? The newest.
The new Star Trek RPG.
Yeah.
That isn't Roll20 playing that right now? Didn't they start a Star Trek thing?
Someone did. I know someone was doing it, and I saw them doing it, but I didn't have a chance to check it out.
Yeah. Because I think it's Roll20, but I haven't watched Roll20 in a little while. After their break, I kind of just forgot about them, but I noticed I was hosting them one day, and I think I saw them playing Star Trek, so...
Well, it's like, I always would love to check them out, but I'm always behind on watching everybody anyway. Like, there's only, like, I think literally one series I've caught up to of people playing...
I just caught up on Eberron yesterday, so...
I'm caught up to the Vampire the Requiem, because I found Vampire on Lost Initiative very interesting, because I love a good vampire game. And that's the only one I'm caught up to, but they haven't been on for weeks, so it's easy.
Yeah.
But going back to it, I mean, it definitely, the Star Trek Adventures leaves you open for a lot of, like, checking out a lot of the different problems or doing a lot of the different Star Trek adventures, your choice, which is very good. I guess it's made that you can... I guess you're supposed to put it into more the, like, Next Generation and all the ones around theirs timeline. So from, like, Next Generation to Voyager, since they're technically all around the same time, I feel like...
Yeah, and I'd assume that by the ships on the cover, too.
Yeah. I feel like that's when they want to place it, which is fine, because that's 3 of the series right then and there, that encompasses a lot of material. So.
Yeah, that section of the universe was pretty jam-packed full of stuff.
So that makes it very easy to, like... that people can reference things or add in planets or add in adventures or alien races that, like, you don't necessarily need all the books to do it for you. So,
right.
Yeah.
maybe that's another one to test out. But you know, I do want to start testing out some RPGs. But that's besides the point. But these adventures,
I would love to see them come out with a Dominion War storyline for this.
That'd be kind of cool. We'll have to see what they have, because this is really their like first thing that they've come out with beyond the actual original book. So, book and like side things like dice and stuff like that. That's really, they've released this and the core book. That's the only actual book. So, it's definitely a good first start. And I guess not having a super in-depth mission is maybe not a bad thing. That you can probably take care of these in a session or two, and maybe that's not like... I guess, you know, depending on how you play it out, you could do more and how long your sessions are, you know. But I'm assuming on a traditional, like, 3 or 4 hours, you could probably get these in a session or two. And that's not necessarily bad. But again, it does mean that, you know, you will theoretically go through them quickly. But
right.
To be fair, like, I mean, how I tend to use modules is I tend to like to use a shorter module like this as like a start to an adventure to kind of get a feel for a group.
Yeah.
It's always nice to do something, because you don't have to worry as much about creating stuff for people who you don't know.
Yeah.
And then once you kind of get a feel for them, you can kind of more custom tailor adventures.
Yes, that's true. That's going back to some of the things. That's why I did like Curse of Strahd a lot, because it allowed for so much customization in that one, you know. Mm-hmm. And the customization could even just be like, your adventuring party goes here first, while everybody else goes here first, and leads to vastly different experiences. And so the simpler the module, the better it can be, kind of, to set things up, definitely. So this might be a good advantage of these small adventures. You could lead into larger things, or, you know, because not that it occurs a lot, but you could hit into some kind of plot that's going on with your crew or something, or what's going on around the space around them, and then just going on these missions, you know, sets up for that.
Now, they do have more missions, though, because they do have PDFs for Command, Science Division books, plus Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, Delta Quadrant books that are as they're released. But they do have Command and Science is available in PDFs now.
Oh, they do? They might have just come out with those. I don't see them on Morpheus' site, though.
They have it listed on the site I'm on, Game Nerds. They have Star Trek Adventure RPG Board Collector's Box Edition.
Oh,
which is $480.
Yeah, I see that here.
But you get the core rulebook, 4 sets of 32mm scale miniatures, 3 sets of custom Star Trek adventure dice, a set of laser engraved acrylic tokens, 6 monument tokens in blue with Federation emblem, and 20 threat tokens in red, a pad of 50 reversible color character sheets, a deluxe poster of the Alpha and Beta quadrants, foam tray.
All those books, you get them as they're released.
Okay.
So those technically, the only one that's out right now is These Are the Voyages Volume 1.
Okay.
But all those other ones, the Command, Operations, Science, Alpha, Beta, Delta, Gamma quadrants, they're all planning to release those, and you get them as part of this insane thing. It's just like...
Yeah, I mean, it's almost $500, but you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah, you are pretty much getting everything that they have.
Plus, if you're a Star Trek collector, on top of it, you're definitely getting your money's worth.
I guess so, that's true. It's a pretty insane product, though. It's just like
it's making me drool because I want it. Because I am a Star Trek fan at heart. I used to do cons. I helped build an original Enterprise, a float of the original Enterprise, and was in the Mummers Parade twice with it. So yeah, I'm a bit of a Star Trek nerd.
Just a tiny bit, just a little bit, smidge. But no, yeah. So yeah. This is definitely a very interesting book, and if you're into trying out the Star Trek adventures, I think I could say we'd recommend at least trying these out, because if all else fails, this is a good starting point for you to learn how to run an adventure in the Star Trek adventures. Because that's another thing I like about small modules like this, that even if you're an experienced DM like myself, when you're in a new system, it's not always easy to build in a new system. You get used to building in certain systems and understanding the rules for it, understanding the dynamics of how characters work. Having something like this, great way to introduce you to it and get you accustomed to playing in this. So,
yes.
But I would definitely recommend checking out this one for Star Trek. It's a very cool one. All right. Why don't we, though, move on? We have a couple more things I want to handle, and let's start with Munchkin Lite. All right. So
Why?
Wait. Let's go for the introduction first. So, Steve Jackson Games has decided that Munchkin itself is too complex or too difficult to play. You know, I guess.
This doesn't have any different rules, though.
I don't know.
No. They're giving you a lot less cards for a little bit less money.
So, the only thing I noticed between looking at on their page, the Munchkin versus the Munchkin Lite, is this is, what was it? 3 to 4 players, whereas the original is 3 to 6 players.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get less players and less cards for a $5
It's
difference.
only supposed to take an hour.
Because you have less cards.
Yeah, it's because you have 50 less cards.
You could just buy the normal one and just be like, we're just going to cut this down a little.
Or just have less players. I mean, it doesn't make a difference then. Is there some way of cutting down the cards is going to make it fast? I don't know. It's like,
Especially since you usually don't go through the deck anyway.
No,
Yeah,
if you
actually
play
play.
the game of Munchkin and you go through all 168 cards, that's an epic game, and you're probably spending a lot of time doing it.
yeah, I'm just trying to quickly like look over the rules here as an extra because I don't know where you would like finish this one that would be different. I don't see it, and it's kind of weird.
The other thing is, they're saying now you can take it anywhere.
But you could.
I'm sorry, like 50 card difference doesn't make it that more
No.
portable.
You still have to reach level 10. That's the thing is you still do.
Yeah, I'm really thinking Steve Jackson Games are to the point where they have no ideas left
And so there's like
for Munchkin, so they're just like, what
More
else can we do?
more money. Here you go.
Like, how else can we squeeze another dime out of this game?
No, the only thing I could say about it is because the original, I don't know, I think they might have already updated it somewhere, but like my original version of the game was the like kind of browned out black and white cards, and they have full color pictures here. So if they did all full color pictures on it, that would be cool.
Meh.
Again, they might have already done that with like their like anniversary art guest special things that they've done a billion of too, but
They've updated the decks to full colors before. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And
know.
there's enough
I'm trying
expansions.
to be nice. It just doesn't work.
I'm sorry. After the whole RPG version,
The RPG
that they
version has
did.
existed forever. Oh no, it's the CCG that's coming out.
CCG, that's what I was thinking of. Oh yeah, the collectible card game. After they announced that, I'm like, I'm done.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It
Yeah,
is. It's
They're
in
trying to do a CCG for Munchkin, which is like, it's already kind of a CCG in a way.
Yeah, but you buy the cards and you don't have to go
know.
hunting for them.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm like. Why would anyone do that when there's the
Yeah.
other ones available?
so the CCG is going to be released in February of next year. The core of it.
Oh.
Woo. Steve Jackson Games is just going too far with Munchkin. I think
Well, no.
maybe they need to step back a bit and go, if we can't think of new genres to add to it, maybe we should just let it go.
I can say for the, like, I think as I've defended to a degree the Munchkin CCG before. My only defense of it is depends on how they do the game mechanics. If they do something that has the same idealism of Munchkin, but does it in a completely different way, then it's still a different game. It's sort of like...
If they do a CCG, it has to be something where it's based off the cards you collect and you could play with friends.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just be like, oh yeah, I built this deck. Let's play with these cards that I found.
Yeah.
You have to have individual decks.
Yeah.
It might be sort of like how things like both Vampire and Star Trek, the CGGs, which I've talked about recently, they both had multiple types, like 2 sets of decks that you, like, each of your decks would technically be 2 different piles. That, you know, each of these would function differently, but allow you to play the game together. So almost like you'd have like your own personal monster deck, and then your own personal like adventuring deck. And then and then a little bit of like, I guess if you're doing something more like that Star Trek, where you're trying to complete your own missions, this one's you're trying to fight your own monsters, and then maybe you can use like almost like interrupting cards against your opponents. I can understand how the dynamic can change, and it's still a little bit of the same thing, but might be different enough. But it's still a stretch.
It's still kind of a money grab.
It is still kind of a money grab. And I don't know if it'll be good enough or different enough from any other CCG to warrant its existence. And that's what I really do worry about. You know, it's like, I don't feel like it's hit that, or they've provided enough information to make me feel like they've hit that point in time yet.
The only thing I can say is, hopefully, since it's going to be being officially released in February, maybe they might have some pre-stuff at PAX Unplugged in November.
Maybe, but I don't know.
Maybe we can see.
Again, I kind of been feeling like weird. Like, Munchkin's been very strange as of late, like the kind of releases they've been doing. For a while there, it worked okay, but now it's sort of like gone into...
I think they just went so fast into so many different genres.
Yeah.
That it's just become overcrowded, and it's like... I think they're starting to run out of ideas.
What happened to the expansions for the genres? Like, now they do one, and then they do a couple of those little booster card packs, which the booster card packs suck. Yeah. That's what I have to say. That was a terrible idea from them. But I guess people were doing it, and it's a good money-grabbing technique, actually. The booster packs.
It's like, ooh, here's 15 cards. It's, not that pricey.
$5.
Or $5, yeah. It's like,
That's less cards than the $5 that they take out for the light edition.
I know.
Yeah.
They're learning how to make the cards more valuable than you need them to be over and over again.
Yeah.
No. The worst part is also released this week, which I didn't even need to talk about, was another 100 card book pack for $10. Munchkin Christmas Lite, which was either a standalone game or could be in like Munchkin, which I guess it's
Well, they had a Christmas one before, didn't they?
They've had Christmas packs.
Okay.
Nothing significant. Which I think it's like maybe a collection.
So it's probably
of all the
just
Christmas
a combination. Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably a combination of the Christmas packs.
But the fact is, it's the exact same kind of thing for $10 less.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just get the Christmas one and just have holidays all the time?
Yeah.
Because it literally says you can play it alone or with everything else.
Maybe once the Christmas one, if the Christmas one's successful, they'll come out with an Easter one, and
they'll go for all the holidays. I mean, they have tried They have tried for some of the other holidays. Like, I think there has been, like, one of the packs for Christmas and one for Easter before, so they actually have done them, and maybe one for Valentine's Day. They've done a lot of weird stuff. They kept doing it. But, oh, God.
Happy Hanukkah, Munchkin style.
I wouldn't be surprised.
The dreidel of death.
I like Munchkin a lot, so, like, the actual game, so it kind of fills me with, like, unhappiness that this is the kind of direction they've been going in,
Yeah, same here. I love Munchkin. I love playing it.
Yeah, it's a great game.
I mean, I started feeling that they were doing money grabs when they actually when they came out with the board and the board for the card game.
Oh, like where you can get...
To track it. I'm like, that's completely unnecessary. You have a die that you use.
Head-sided die.
Why do you need a board that you move the thing up just to try to sell more stuff, basically?
Yeah.
And like, I feel like I don't really okay, the guest artist things, the deluxe sets, those, yes, they're re-releases, but I never felt really terrible about them, as much as I did like a deluxe edition where you're sort of like updating a little bit of the art and stuff, and maybe then yes, you're putting in one of those boards or something. I, as someone that already owns stuff, would never get it, but I could understand someone that might not have getting it. This is a more definitive version of it. The guest artist ones, those were interesting, but I just never felt like they were good enough.
Unless it's an artist that you really love,
yeah,
it's not really worth it.
No, that was definitely one of the ones that were sort of like, okay. And
yeah, I had a friend. Okay,
I was gonna say they put out like 2 of the original Munchkin with different artists, so that's like really.
I had a friend who got they never had it, so they bought the board version, and we played it, and I was just like, this is just more annoying to have to be like, oh, could someone move my piece up? I gained a level. It's like, instead of taking the original Munchkin dice that they came out with, which were giant D10s that are actually really cool looking, and just going, oh, there we go, I gained a level.
Yeah, I think I'm like 13 core sets behind in Munchkin. Now that I'm looking at it, I think the last one that I got was like Conan and Apocalypse. I don't think I got Legend. I may have. I don't know. I think I did. And so everything after that. And the thing is, they started going very specific, which I also don't. I thought was kind of weird. Like Legend and Steampunk, okay. Now, like when they did like certain things, like they did the Axe Cop, which I did get, which was kind of like weird because I never read the comic, so I knew, like, I heard about it. But then they've done like Adventure Time, Nightmare Before Christmas, Marvel, and an X-Men one, which are completely different. And now they've also done Rick and Morty, which came out.
They tried to jump on anything that's popular at the time and create a Munchkin for it.
Well, they did Pathfinder too.
Yeah.
Which is,
I know.
Pathfinder is the original, only with, like, I guess, different flair.
Yes, because the original was based off of D&D. So Pathfinder is based off of D&D.
I think the only one that I can mention that I feel like is actually decent in the past while... Oh, no, 2 of them. Steampunk, I thought would have been really cool, which they didn't do before. And they just did Grim Tidings, which was fairy tales. That's finally something different that I feel like is good to, like, throw in here.
I could get behind both of those. It's just like they need, instead of just throwing out crap, take their time, maybe not do as many releases, but when you do a release, make it something really interesting.
Oh,
instead of just rehashing the same things. So,
why did they release D6s? There are Munchkin D6s.
Oh, well, yeah, they did that because there's some cards you actually have to roll a D6 for.
Oh, the curses, or running away. Running away, you need a D6.
Yeah,
oh, right. But, well, no, but it's the dice of blanks you use. Or no, right?
No, it's a D6.
Yeah, use a D6.
Most people just use a basic D6.
Oh, right, there is a D6 in there. I don't know why. I was thinking of, for whatever reason, sorry, I was, for whatever reason, thinking of the dice from... Small World.
Oh, Small World, yeah.
Where you have the dice of blanks. I don't know why I got those mixed up in my head.
Okay, and I'll give you this. I just noticed this one. There is a Munchkin spell school, which is basically like Harry Potter and all those wizard school kind of things too. That came out pretty recently.
Yeah.
But then it's like the stupid Munchkin spin-offs too. I have to complain about them now a little bit too, where they're combining them with other board games. Because there's a Munchkin with Castle Panic, and a Munchkin with Gloom, and a Munchkin with Love Letter, and a Munchkin with Smash Up. Because Steve Jackson Games is just really money grabbing anymore. Yeah. Anything they can attach their name to and make a buck off of, they're willing to do it. It seems. I mean, they still do come out occasionally with.
They do come out with good products now, still, but they seem to want to try to squeeze any amount of money they can get out of any product they own.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, can we do something slightly different and charge some more? Sure.
Yeah, you're right. Because I mean, like previously we talked about like some of the more interesting card games, like the Ghosts and Candy, which was really kind of interesting, creepy but interesting.
Yes.
And I didn't feel like it was interesting enough to talk about it, but they came out with like a Day of the Dead kind of thing where you're, I guess, playing which it was a very simple game.
Doesn't Steve Jackson own GURPS?
Yes.
So they do kind of have a knack for throwing everything into one thing.
Yes.
The thing about it is, like, I keep track of it.
Early
and
GURPS was worse.
Well, the thing is
worse than now.
Most of it is just supplements that have already been out, slightly updated for, like, I guess, the new edition and re-released.
Right.
That's pretty much most of what GURPS is now.
But early GURPS was really bad for some of the stuff they'd add to systems that would break it.
GURPS has too many products. It's sort of like Pathfinder. You think it has too many products? No, GURPS is worse. I think is what it is. GURPS is like weird. I don't know how they've got worse than like. We can give offer our complaints towards like 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, how they've released a billion tons of stuff. But I always feel like each of those at least try to be compatible with the system. GURPS tries to add in like every genre.
Well, you got to remember also, GURPS has been GURPS for the same amount of time since like 3.0's been out. So it's just been the same system, just coming out with more and more and more and more stuff. It's when we were talking 3.0, okay, yeah, it had a lot of stuff. So did 3.5. It had a lot of stuff, but it hasn't been running as long as GURPS itself has.
Yeah, I guess 4th edition came out in, let me see here, 2004. So, I mean, it's been over a decade in 4th edition that they've just been putting out stuff for it, so.
Yeah.
Or re-releasing stuff for it, I mean.
Yeah, 13 years of GURPS adding to their own system.
Yeah.
It's going to get crazy after a while because you go through all the normal stuff that you can do, and then it's like, well, we still want to release more stuff to still make money off of this. What do we do now? Let's add, X, Y, and Z. But those sound insane. Yes, but they'll sell.
Yeah. Well, they have like 19 dungeon fantasy books. Alone. And they keep updating more stuff for 4th edition now, I guess from 3rd edition as much as they can. But no, so getting away from busting on GURPS, because I mean, I guess we can do that a little bit more. We're not complaining about the system. That's not the problem here. Like, the system is actually an interesting system. It's just that, with the amount of supplements, you can find problems, is what we're saying. But it seems yes, it does seem to be something about Steve Jackson games that they just sort of like bleh out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, they also used to do GURPS stuff for other game systems too. Like they used to do GURPS stuff for D&D.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here's something you can add to your D&D game that'll make it really, really weird.
Yes. They have such a weird collection of RPGs too, It's like one of those things.
Steve Jackson Games gets their hands in everything. They're the mom of the game world.
Wow. And thank you for a Futurama reference. It was required. I always felt like something was odd about Munchkin when they came out with non-actual card game products that I thought were kind of weird. Like some of them you can understand. Like, okay, T-shirt, that happens, and T-shirts are never terrible.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you become that popular, some merchandising off of it is fine.
Yes, but like some of the merchandising kind of got weird a little bit too. So I think or just a little too much of it also.
I think when they started adding to different games, it's like, here's a Munchkin version of the same game.
Well, no. For like the shirts though, I remember, there was one of the packs that came out, like one of the things of cards that had stuff for other Munchkin merchandise. So it mentioned like if you had a Munchkin bookmark or the T-shirt, you'd get something in game. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's It really wants you to get that, so you get the bonus in the game.
I have to say this. I have to make a Spaceball reference. Merchandising!
Yeah.
Munchkin the flamethrower! The kids love this one!
Yeah.
If you have the Munchkin flamethrower, all your items are flaming.
Yeah, I mean, they really have gotten pretty much everything they can do under the sun when it comes to merchandising different things. Way too much. But oh, Munchkin, you're such a great game to like go into this like weird negaverse of spending. Please stop it. Please return to just the good stuff. Please, we ask you, as people that like your game and did buy your products. I still try to occasionally when I can afford it.
But please focus on new and interesting stuff instead of just smacking your name on something. Also
put out less. I can't keep up with you. That's why I'm behind on stuff. I could not keep up with you. When you put out like 6 core, well, probably not that bad, but even like 3 core sets of Munchkin a year, there's a lot of other stuff I want to get to. And so those of us that have to make choices made certain choices.
And some of the stuff is still Steve, and some of the stuff is still Steve Jackson game stuff. So you're competing with yourself.
So please, Munchkin. All right, but let's move on to the last topic, because this is one from last week. I'm going to complain for a little bit about Whitehall mysteries, and then everybody else can put their 2 cents in. So, now if anybody would remember, if you've been around for a while watching the show, I, for one reason, kind of dislike Sherlock Holmes games and Jack the Ripper games. Now you might ask why. It would be cool to play as Sherlock Holmes or fight against Jack the Ripper. The concept is really cool, and I'm sure that there are some good games out there. It's the sheer fact that they keep coming out with them over and over again. You can only come out with these things so many times before I don't want any more. It is a topic that has been handled over and over again. Choose a new topic.
Or at least space them out.
Now, granted, this is an addition to their Letters of the Whitechapel series. So this is technically a sequel or something to the game.
I'd call it a sequel because it's not an expansion.
Yeah, because played on its own.
But the weird thing is, it's also Jack the Ripper comes back.
And, you know, granted, there's not always the Sherlock Holmes, but it's the same period of time, and it's the same concept of detective doing detective-y things, you know? But they're very similar, you know, time period and stuff. So, we didn't need that. We didn't need it.
It's also a weird timing where there's nothing, like, in pop culture right now, movie or television or anything, going on with it. Like, I could have seen this happen when, like, the Sherlock Holmes movies came out, or the Johnny Depp, Jack the Ripper movie came out.
I think it's like the 6th or 7th...
During that time, would have made sense.
Yeah. This is like the 6th or 7th time this year we've talked about stuff like this, because they keep coming out, and nothing Sherlock Holmes or anything goes on. I think we discussed it before, that there is sort of things in the background that have always been there. Like, I don't think... It's hard to tell if the BBC is still doing their stuff for Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Cumberbatch. I think they sort of are, or not, I don't know. And I think we discussed that CBS has their own version of something which is, like, completely different, you know?
Yeah, it's like a futuristic version of Sherlock Holmes.
It's like modern day or something, yeah.
Yeah,
so
or modern day.
It's fine. It's fine. But it's not new. This stuff has been going on, so why now? Is it just that this stuff happens constantly, and I'm only noticing it now? That, like, every year, like, 6 or 7... Sherlock Holmes / possibly Jack the Ripper stuff comes out, that same time period of detectives, and it's just so incredibly popular? Or is it just like this year, for some god-awful reason, it's all coming out? Someone tell me why.
At least it's not Sherlock Holmes, the sequel.
I was fine with that. I wanted a Great Mouse Detective game. Come on, thank you. That would be different at least. Where's my Great Mouse Detective game? I'll take you on that one. I'll take you up on that one. Disney makes a board game. Thank you.
Jack the Ripper comes back. And now he's leaving body parts all over the city.
He's back in body part form. No.
So. I don't know. So I don't pay close attention to like board games enough to see like the pattern you're talking about, or just to see like, oh, there's a lot right now. But
well,
no,
I mean,
it's just
the pattern is not so like widespread. I think like at the beginning of the year, it felt like every week or other week they were coming out. So it has been a good amount of time.
Near the beginning of the year, we reported on like 4 or 5 games that came out like within 2 or 3 months.
I mean, like, I just don't know, because, like, what is the game you're saying it's like a sequel of?
Letters of Whitechapel.
Letters of Whitechapel, okay.
I'm sorry, Letters from Whitechapel.
Okay.
It's actually a series of, it says it's a series, so they've had a whole bunch of these. They've had 2 of these. There's Letters from Whitechapel, there's now Whitehall Mystery. It sounds like they're planning more since they're saying a series.
Huh.
There's just the 2 out right now, though. And Letters from Whitechapel was Jack the Ripper, and now Whitehall Mystery is Jack the Ripper Returns.
Yeah, I'm not... I just don't... Okay, yeah, I mean, you're using historical figures to make a board game, I guess.
Historical
Yeah.
historical figures / one historical literary figure. It's an interesting combination of like what would happen if Sherlock Holmes was on the case of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
You're combining those 2 things into one, which the first one seemed it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And it's like, now he's back. It's like,
to be fair, it kind of sounds to me. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
go
didn't
ahead.
kick off.
No,
Okay,
go ahead.
but it sounds to me kind of just like the whole. What happens? Honestly, this happens in movies. It's like, oh, why are all the superhero movies coming out? Why are all the mystery board games coming out? I feel like sometimes just like like genres kind of go through waves of popularity. And the reason people make them is because people keep buying them until people get sick of them and they stop making them.
That's true.
They switch to something else.
And I guess Sherlock Holmes is or at least the idea of the Victorian detective is a popular one, we can say, because I guess that's what it boils down to.
It is.
The Victorian detective is what we're focusing on. And I mean, at least this one, again, I do agree with Joe's standpoint of why did Jack the Ripper come back? I mean, I'm fine with coming up with something that's like more like a sequel to Letters of Whitechapel. That seems like a fine thing, but couldn't we have done a different direction? You don't necessarily have to be historical again, because even with Jack the Ripper coming back, we've already gone vastly away from any kind of historical anything at that point in time. So, come up with something different,
Yeah, it's like, is it Jack the Ripper his new Moriarty?
I guess so. Well, I don't know. I don't think Letters of Whitechapel
I'm also
was
just
specifically...
I'm also just like, why do you have to create a sequel board game where you have to buy a whole new board game to just have a sequel to a game?
Yeah.
Like, you should make it expandable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's another entire thing about this, that it is very much so a sequel, like.
No, the first one was Jack the Ripper as well. I just double checked.
Yeah, the Letters from Whitehall was not the Sherlock Holmes / Jack the Ripper one. That was a different one.
No, Letters from Whitechapel.
Yeah, that
one was Sherlock Holmes and Jack the Ripper. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Letters from Whitechapel is a thematically engrossing board game of deduction, buffing, the infamous Jack the Ripper. We'll have 5 other players. Oh, that one's just 5 other players.
You're detectives.
You're just detectives.
Yeah, you're just detectives. So, I mean... Yeah. It's a standalone game in the series. So, another question I have...
so this isn't... even Whitehall Mystery isn't actually...
Sherlock Holmes. I know, I realize it's not.
It's in that genre.
It's in the genre, it's in the time period. That's more like
Jack the Ripper's back, though. It's like... Why?
Why don't we have some kind of interesting murder mystery?
Well, does that mean at the end of the other board game you didn't actually capture him?
I guess not. And
he came back? It's like, or is he just like a DC supervillain that breaks out of Arkham Asylum every day?
now, this is another problem that I have with it that makes me worry a little bit, because we never had a chance to actually play Letters from Whitechapel.
Oh, there was a Letters from Whitechapel expansion, though, too.
Oh, okay.
Called Dear Boss.
Oh, that's where we came into it. Remember, we saw Dear Boss, and we came out, and I was like, why is there more stuff? It was yet another one.
There's an expansion of what Letters from Whitechapel, and now there's a sequel.
And I do feel a little bit like Letters from Whitechapel in and of itself. How's its replayability? Is my only question, because
because like that's what I was wondering too. Is it because
you're always trying to find Jack the Ripper in the first one and the second one now. How is the replayability?
And the expansion.
That's what I mean. Like, it's all Jack the Ripper going after him. And it's the same thing, just in a different game that you're buying both separately. I feel a little bit like this is Time Stories, but terrible. Like, Time Stories, you have to buy each of them separately. They don't have a very good replayability, which
But each one's a completely different adventure.
Yes, and that's why it seems cool. You still need the core one, and then you get the expansions, and it's sort of like you're time travelers going to different time zones doing different things. This is the same thing 3 times. And can you really replay it a lot? I mean, are we just stopping Jack the Ripper, or are we capturing him in the original game? Because if you're not capturing him, it feels like, well, what is the point of the
It
game?
looks like it's just been like a battle of wits between you and him.
Over the course of 3 products?
Apparently.
Oh.
So there's almost like a GM screen type thing. I wonder if you're like almost playing against someone.
I think you are.
Yeah.
On that note, though, I have to excuse myself for a moment. Continue debating.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
if there's almost a GM screen, that maybe what this is, which might be the only thing that I feel like rectifies this a little bit, is perhaps this is set as more one player takes the role of Jack the Ripper, and everybody else is the detectives, maybe.
Yeah. It does appear to be that way, because there's like because it mentioned in a thing I saw, like it's what was it? It said it's a board game of, where was it? Board game of bluffing, deduction, or sorry, that's the categories. The mechanics is like memory, partnership, secret unit deployment.
Yeah, so maybe that's the advantage that this has that might make it unique, is that, which is something I guess I didn't notice about the original Letters from White Castle, which it might be actually the Letters from Whitechapel. It might be the same way. That's actually something about it that I may have missed before, that might make it a little better.
Yeah, because it seems to almost, that would actually definitely improve the replayability. But I feel like almost maybe the whole new, so probably the expansion added new cards, but probably this new game adds a new map, because it seems like the big difference is the map.
And truthfully speaking, the expansion did come out earlier this year, but the original game came back in 2013. So it's sort of like we had the original game, but I might have felt like a little more defended on this entire thing if maybe the expansion had come out in between there. Like if the expansion came out like 2 years ago and now we've got an entirely new game that's a sequel to it,
Yeah.
But it's the same year.
It's possible the pack kind of created a new surge of interest that they then like, oh, we need to kind of bank off of this.
Okay, I can see that, because, I mean, they didn't announce it until, it looks like June of this year, after Dear Boss was released in March. So, I mean, it could have created enough popularity with the game again, because this definitely is a little better, I think, along the long runs. So it looks like, diving deeper into this game, we're finding parts of it that tell me it's probably one of the better of this genre.
Yeah,
which
but
is good.
but the fact that the genre is popular, or maybe the genre is becoming popular again, because everything goes through phases.
Yeah.
With these kind of things, that's why they released the expansion, just thinking,
Yeah.
oh, we'll get interest in our old game, and then it probably picked up a lot more, and like, oh, well, let's kind of bank off this a little bit more, and create like a new map and stuff. Because it seems like honestly the biggest difference is probably a new map.
Yeah, that does
the
seem to
old
be the
game.
big thing. It's like the same game, different map, maybe different special cards or stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still like, there's still just, it still keeps me like, why do we have to have so much of it? It's like, I guess it's the same thing that like there is a lot of fantasy-based board games and other stuff like that. I just think for me, because it is a little more specific than, let's say, like fantasy, you know, it's Victorian detectives. It's not even detective, it's Victorian detectives. Can't we have like some more like 40s noir or 30s 40s noir detectives, or you know, like modern day detective games?
Yeah, they almost probably should. What they almost should have done with the sequel is not do the same thing, but maybe do a like you said, you know, we had you know the Victorian detectives. Now you're doing the, you know, noir. You know, that definitely would have been better.
Yeah, maybe like you could even have it that like it's something similar but a different time period, and it could have been cool. It could have it would have like similar vibes but different. It could have been like, someone has taken up the mantle of like what Jack the Ripper did and it returned in like, you know, noir age or something. So you feel a little bit more, you know, noir detective. You could even do like British noir, which I don't think anybody has actually done, which would be kind of cool, because I think there are probably some British like detective shows that have done something similar to it. So why don't we do it in board game form? Gosh darn it. Be a little more original. That's all I'm asking for. A little bit more.
Huh.
Originality.
I know, it just doesn't happen. Do either of you have anything else about this? I feel like I'm done complaining to my degree that I've been playing. You know?
I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, why don't we move on to some stories from the table? So we already did one from Wyrm. Why don't we kind of think of like an interesting topic today?
You have more if you need them.
I know, we all have some stories. So what I want to feel like we're going to do is we want to do something a little bit more. What is the game where you had the best mystery to it? Since we haven't had a good story from Joe for a while, just, you know, quickly, a story from a game that had a great mystery to it. Ooh, I caught you off guard with that one.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Thanks. Putting me on the spot
Fine.
with the thing that didn't come up with ahead of time.
I could probably start with something if you need a few minutes. I could come up with something.
I also have something.
Oh, you have something? Why don't we start with you then, if you have something that had the best mystery in it? That'd give Joe some time.
It's kind of funny though, because what I'm thinking of, it's the only real mystery game I've ever played in, and it's actually I guess you could say, so the game we're playing tonight, I'm going to do a little bit of plugging, I guess, is Amber City, which was the first game I ever played. I mentioned that Changeling, I played like 3 games and then I played Changeling, or three games of Pathfinder and then played Changeling.
Yeah.
That was Amber City. It never finished. And what the person who's running it tonight, I'm a player, not the GM. He redid Amber City all over again, but it is basically a mystery. But that's what's so fun about it is. I mean, I guess you can spoil a little bit. We know what's coming because we've played it before, but we haven't mentioned this to the audience. So a little sneak preview is like when basically something happens. It's based off Majora's Mask almost. In 3 days, everything's wiped out. You start over, and then you have to figure out what's going on and why.
Yeah.
And we never finished it the first time around, and so we're getting a second go at it.
Oh, okay.
With these adventures, which is really fun.
Cool. All right. So I think for me, to give Joe a little bit more time again, I had a very enjoyable mystery very early on when a friend of mine was running one of the Pathfinder adventure paths. like adventure, like a pre-made adventure, especially because this person was a first-time DM. That's fine. We never played in it, but she did a very good job. Like the first two adventures, the first half of each of these adventures involved a pretty good mystery. We're trying to find out stuff. Like, and the first one, the mystery wasn't like a really major mystery. It's like, oh, some goblins appeared in town and caused havoc. Where did they come from? The gates weren't broken down. This is strange. In the second one, it's like, there appears to have been some kind of a cult involved in this. Let's go find out about this. Oh, hey, you're not who you're supposed to be. You're involved in this cult kind of thing, you know? And so, like, there was this level of investigation. I don't think it was ever, like, in-depth investigation, but I think it's because just some of the ways that we role-played things that stands out, you know? But it makes it interesting, you know, rather than, like, you know, the checks for it. The mysteries were really simple. The entire, like, thing was really simple. It's just, you know, those interactions that we had along the way were what makes it stand out in my mind. I think that's actually something that can make a mystery unique, is not just the actual mystery itself, but how it's presented, too. The mystery could be, like, the easiest thing of, like, who stole the cookie? But if you have an awesome adventure of, like, figuring out little Susie down the street took the cookie or something, you know, hey, it's just as good. Joe?
Okay, so I'm going to go out of the RPG realm slightly.
Ooh.
I don't know if this was the best, but it was interesting. A few years ago when we did our cabin trip,
Okay.
I finally got to run a game that I had for years.
Which I was, like, one of the only people to, like, I guess would say I love that game. That was great.
Oh, it was horribly fantastic.
It was wonderful.
It was actually a how to host a murder, but it was how to host a teen murder.
Oh, God. He's had it
bought
since...
it in junior year of high school. And have been trying to get enough people to say yes to play it since then.
It was so good.
I think this was about 4 or 5 years ago that we finally got to do it. So we're all in our we're all in our 30s.
We were close enough to it.
Playing How to Host a Teenage Murder, and it was a vampire-themed one with such characters as Howie Bledsoe.
It was so bad, but wonderful.
And I ran it, but when you're running it, you're still a character kind of too. Yeah. So you get still kind of participate in everything. But I thought it was a lot of like over the top, kind of dorky, funny fun.
I found it. It's How to Host a Teen Murder, Barbecue with the Vampire.
Yes, it was Barbecue with a Vampire.
Because you're all attended to host the barbecue of the very spooky castle of rock superstar Killian Kilgan.
No, it was Killian Killigan.
Yes. And you and the guests are suspects. There's Jacqueline Hyde, Juan Stefan Legrave, Fredra Everton,
Freda Everting,
Dwayne Dentry, Anna Luda Patai. There's Harry Bledsoe.
You're butchering names.
I'm really. Robin O Positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, these are really great. They're really bad too.
I do want to say though, if we're going out of RPGs as a possibility, then the best mystery I ever solved was the escape room I did back a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
you guys ever done one of those?
Oh yes.
Yes.
They're fun.
The escape room was fun. Oh, I was Juan. I was the kid that was under the funeral home. You know, I remember my secret and it was funny. I think I do. Because each character has stupid secrets. But no, mystery rooms are fun. I would love to do some more. Definitely. Definitely that'd be cool to do. But so, those are very good stories. So here, a quick stories from the table is, gaming stage advice. And this is a good one. And I think this one will pertain mostly to RPGs, but I guess you can do it a little bit on something like a board game or something too. How do you add mystery to something? And now this could be an actual like mystery game or something that doesn't normally have mystery. Like a mystery board game, how do you make it feel more mysterious without the game itself? that might be a way to look at this. Or if you're doing like a mystery RPG, not only, I guess, would it be a little bit of the atmosphere, but actually the game itself adding it. How would you do that? Ooh. Now, I could start with myself if you want to again. Up to you guys. I think I've got an idea of how to answer this one.
Sure.
Okay. I think for myself, if I'm adding mystery for more of environmental, definitely just go for similar to horror a little bit. You know, like dim room. I guess you wouldn't go for like spooky music at that point in time if you're using some background music, you know. Just, you know, go for the dim room, go for a little bit of like, you know, simplistic things around you, and just maybe act out your characters a little bit, especially if that's a board game side. And that can pertain to the role-playing game side, which then if you're adding in mystery, just look for keeping a question, and for a dungeon/game master, keep your answers in such a way that it makes it feel like there's more to it. You know, make your people sound a little bit more untrustworthy. Make them have secrets that maybe aren't that important, that maybe your characters are going to be tempted to drag out of them. Things like that, I think, will add to a little bit of mystery. And even in the simplest of things, maybe it can add a little bit more. Joe, do you have any kind of suggestions here?
I could say, I mean, you could do it in two directions I can think of. Too would be, you know, it's simple, kind of like adding like kind of traps that they might encounter and have to overcome to get to to find out like the truth about something. I also would love to try to do like a medieval noir.
Ooh.
Like a weird combination of that, like a noir feel to a medieval game.
That'd be interesting to do. Like do a like D&D city adventure, but have it like a noir thing or something. That might be interesting to do.
Actually, you know where I'd love to have it themed in? The City of Doors.
Oh, Sigil.
Yep.
Yep.
Come on, you gotta admit, a noir and Sigil? That opens up so many possibilities.
That's not a bad... That's a pretty good suggestion for something. That's pretty interesting.
That might be something I have to work on at some point.
Yes. Wyrm, do you have something to add in here for this entire concept?
So to like make something more mysterious, I mean, I'm thinking about it from just kind of like a planning perspective as like a GM or something.
Yeah.
You might go, like, remember that mystery or like detective work is actually what's called like people think, oh, you know, deduction, you know, you think, oh, no, it's actually something called abduction, which is where you actually almost like piece together what could be and then like it work backwards. It's kind of a little bit more complicated. And I'm like I've been racking my brain this entire time trying to remember how to explain the differences between all of them. But it's kind of like, oh gosh. I haven't looked at the like which one's which in a while. It's kind of part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I always get them mixed up. But oh gosh. Yeah, I'm not very helpful right here.
That's fine.
Look up abduction.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
That's fine advice. Excuse me. I'm kind of tempted to like now actually figure out a way to adapt one of these how to host a murder mystery things and like do something like that on stream. That would be kind of interesting to do.
It wouldn't be hard. I mean, all you really need is the people. Everyone would have to have the books.
You need a lot of players, though, is the only thing, so that makes it...
Yeah, you normally need like 6 to 8 people.
Yeah, that might be difficult, but might be interesting to do sometime.
And we all have to dress up.
Oh, God. I know plenty of people that would love to do that. But you might actually need, like, specifically there, instead of, like, using tape recorder or something, you might actually need a specific, like, host or something, so...
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Hopefully that, if you want to add some mystery to your games, whether, you know, in real life or in the actual game, hopefully we've said some things that'll help you out. So, alright, good show for today. Thank you again, once again, Wyrm, for joining us. You're always fun to have on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Why don't we have you start out for supporting yourself or anything? I guess we know one thing that's going on today.
Yeah, so I'm running Changing the Law Second Edition today at 4 o'clock Pacific Time, PST, and I guess I will say that's 7
o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern. So that'll be on my channel, twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm. You can follow me on Twitter at DiamondWyrm. And
cool.
Yeah, that's I stream also Mondays. Well, I'm here Mondays. I'm planning to add an extra one in on Mondays as well.
So do a couple things on Monday. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Wednesdays.
Yep. Wednesdays.
I'm thinking of adding in Tuesdays, and maybe Thursdays or something as well. I'm thinking about trying to increase my stream schedule.
Okay. Joe.
I pimp you.
Yeah, I know.
Tomorrow we will be off.
Treasures
we
off.
are doing, for Treasures, we're going to be skipping next week, or this week, tomorrow, however you want to say it. We're going to Hershey Park and going to go have fun.
Yeah. I think for me, what I'm going to say to people now, which is sort of, I'm going to do a few announcements, but I'm probably going to do some kind of announcement stream soon. Expect the Twitch schedule to be updated and changed. Expect the YouTube schedule to change. I know that things have been a little chaotic on the YouTube side, so I'm changing a few things around that are going to help me out for that. Also changing a few things around that'll help me for what I'm putting out there. It seems because of my amount of streaming games, I feel like the half-an-hour episodes are too much that I've been putting out. It feels a little flooded in order to keep up with things. So I'm going to put things to an hour. So expect in a little while, hour is going to go out for those if you watch a lot of VODs. Like this show I upload whole because it's pretty simple and it's usually we're not longer than 2 hours anyway, at most. But like other things, expect them to be more hour dockets for the VODs. Expect an updated schedule for the normal YouTube things. Expect an updated schedule for that. We're probably going to be going to... I am going to have us go to every other week for Treasure of the Lost Legion, but then expect on the weeks that we don't do Treasure to have another D&D, or have another show of RPGs sometime during the week. It won't be Sundays, because I'm trying to throw my schedule to being busy every other Sunday. So that's why I don't have to worry about, missing out on Treasure, and we can come up with a better actual exact schedule, folks. So, those are the big announcements there.
I have one more thing, Ed.
Oh, you got one more thing to add in? Cool.
Yeah, because this is just kind of important. If you can't catch me tonight or whatever, we are going to be changing the times to Sundays for future weeks, and we do these every other week, just because there's been some schedule conflicts. So after this week, we'll be switching them to Sunday evenings,
cool.
Just so people know.
Yeah.
Which does conflict with yours a little bit, I think.
Right? We're going to every other week, so I don't know if your week will be every other my week or not. If
you do every other week as well, because we do this week and you do the other week, don't you?
So if you'll be off next weekend, that's when I'm going to be starting to do mine. So we might be going then every other Sunday.
That's good, actually.
That actually might work out. Cool.
Yeah,
definitely. All right. Awesome. Normal support for everything here. Of course, again, you can always follow here on YouTube. You can always throw support on my Patreon if you want to give extra support there, or there is subscriptions here, though I don't have an emote yet. That will be coming out soon. If you love that kind of thing on Twitch, don't worry, I'm working on that. Had to figure out what I wanted to do, and then I still have to give Ollie the money to make it, but I have that. I had to get a new phone battery, so I have to make sure to get that in my account because the phone battery took up my money. Of course it did. But anyway, yes, thank you all for being here. Normal All's Basic Sports, and I hope to see you again next week. And of course, I will be back tomorrow evening, hopefully for some streaming. I'm hoping to maybe get a little bit of tabletop sim in, and then some other stuff after I'm back from the Hershey's trip. So definitely hope to do that. So see you all next week. If you're just here for this, or whenever you can show up, and we'll all see you then later in the future. Bye, everyone.
Bye.